recognized for something that I love to do. Not everyone can be so lucky to say that. I would like to thank the Rotary Club first for taking the time to honor fellow educators and valuing quality education here in our community. Congratulations to the other well-deserving recipients, Mrs. Young and Mr. Stormer. A special thank you to my principal, Mrs. Martz, for her kind words and for being here to support me today and for giving her trust to me as a teacher just to do my magic in the classroom. Of course, to Ginger and to Thomas Ross for continuing to be friendly faces after his kindergarten year and for their gracious words and for their nomination. Mary Dearwester is here today with me, and she is my right-hand woman. She comes to school every morning. Rain, snow, fog, or sleet. She's there before I am some days to greet students and to work with them one-on-one each and every day. She has better attendance than I do. She always says how lucky she is to work with me, but really I'm the lucky one. A special thank you to my family. I think it goes without saying, since they're all here, that they are the true definition of support. All right. So I began wanting to be a teacher when I was young, spending a lot of time in my mom's classroom. And it just felt right, and I'm often asked about what I do, and I always chuckle because of people's gasps and their reactions to how they respond to me teaching kindergarten. Their jaws drop because I'm still alive 7 years later. But it is so rewarding to me, and their little minds inspire me to make learning new and fun each and every day. Like Mrs. Martz was saying, we're proud parents in our room today of 5 baby chicks. So it's an honor to get to be here teaching, to be their teacher and laying the foundations of reading and math. And not just that, but by so many invaluable life skills too. I'd like to end by reading a portion of Robert Fulgham's essay. He says it so much better than I could. All I really need to know I learned in kindergarten. All I really need to know about how to live and what to do and how to be, I learned in kindergarten. Wisdom was not at the top of the graduate school mountain, but there in the sand pile at Sunday school. There I learned these things. Share everything, play fair, don't hit people, put things back where you found them, clean up your own mess, don't take things that aren't yours, say you're sorry when you hurt somebody, wash your hands before you eat, flush. Warm cookies and cold milk are good for you. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some and draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work every day some. Take a nap every afternoon. I wish that could. When you go out into the world, watch for traffic, hold hands and stick together. Wonder. Remember the little seed in the styrofoam cup. The roots grow down and the plant goes up, and nobody really knows how or why, but we are all like that. Goldfish, hamsters, and white mice, and even the little seed in the styrofoam cup, they all die, and so do we. And then remember the Dick and Jane books, and the first word you learned, the biggest word of all, look. Everything you need to know is in there somewhere. The golden rule and love and basic sanitation, ecology and politics, inequality and sane living. Take any one of those and extrapolate it into sophisticated adult terms and apply it to your family life or your work or your government or your world, and it holds true and clear and firm. Think what a better world it would all be if the whole world had cookies and milk at about 3 o'clock every afternoon and then lay down with our blankies for a nap. Or if all governments had a basic policy to always put things back where they found them and to clean up their own mess. And it is still true, no matter how old you are, when you go out into the world, it's always best to hold hands and stick together. Thank you so much.
Lauren, the Bellefontaine Rotary Club is honored to present you with these awards, okay, marble bookends and a $100 Chamber Choice gift certificate. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And I think, before she sits down, I think it's the first mother-daughter winner. Sarah, you're a winner as well.
Yeah.
Back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Yeah. years ago. Our next winner is from the Benjamin Logan School District, Art Stormer. Art is in his 38th year of teaching. He has been in the Benjamin Logan School District for 30 of those years. Mr. Stormer is currently teaching chemistry, physics, and STEM courses. You know, these acronyms mean little to non-educational kind of people. I had no idea what STEM courses were, but it's science, technology, engineering, and math. I never had to worry about that either in school because I never took any STEM courses. That was all phys ed. Art's resume reads like a NASA scientist. It's unbelievable. He's taught everything from astronomy to computer applications. He's also taught at Miami University, Wright State University, University of Finland, and he has even done some teaching in Kenya, Africa. Here for Art Stormer is his principal at Benjamin Logan High School, Mr. Mark Butler.
First of all, I'd like to extend a thank you to the Rotary Club of Bellefontaine for your continued support of outstanding educators throughout Logan County in the Excellence in Teaching Award Program. I'm very honored to be here today to share in awarding Benjamin Logan High School teacher, Mr. Art Stormer, with one of these 3 awards today. I'd also like to congratulate Lauren and Monica for your recognition this afternoon as well. Mr. Stormer, like Mr. Vito has shared, certainly had an interesting start to his long-standing career in education. And like Luke had said, I do believe it was 1977 that you began your teaching in Africa. Is that accurate? 1977. Before returning to the United States in 1984 as a graduate teaching assistant in chemistry for Miami University. Before what we like to say called coming home to Benjamin Logan in 1986. So since that time, Mr. Stormer has had the respect, the admiration of his students, of his parents, of his colleagues, and has played an active and valuable role in our district as well as our community. Mr. Stormer is exceptionally dedicated, knowledgeable, compassionate teacher that inspires students of all backgrounds and abilities to learn. He is poised, he's articulate, and he possesses the energy to withstand a demanding schedule as he has spent countless hours above and beyond the normal school day helping our students apply math, science, knowledge in practical, creative ways to solve real-world engineering challenges as the team's coach. He also teaches students the value of hard work, innovation, and creativity as our first tech challenge robotics and coach. Mr. Stormer has continued to gain momentum in his career over this time as he has empowered our students to build a better world for tomorrow by engaging them in STEM Club, like Lou had mentioned, which focuses on science, technology, engineering, and math. There are many past excellence in teaching award recipients in this room today who were nominated by students, by colleagues, and by parents. And while being nominated by a person in any one of these groups is certainly an honor, being nominated by your students has a special meaning of its own when you consider the impact they've had on their daily life, their education, and potentially the future. So it brings me great pleasure to share this introduction of Mr. Art Stormer with a young lady who's here today who has graciously nominated him for this award, Ms. Emily White. Emily?
I'm Emily Weidman, a junior from Benjamin Logan High School, and Mr. Stormer was my teacher for physics and chemistry, in addition to being my STEM club advisor. Jenna Harden regrets that she could not be here today, but she asked me to thank Mr. Stormer for the amount of time, money, and effort he has dedicated to STEM Club. And I would like to say that no one is more deserving of this award than Mr. Stormer. He engages his class through demonstrations and actively involves them in the learning process. Before entering one of Mr. Stormer's classes, I had never had the pleasure of having a class that was so hands-on. Mr. Stormer is an incredibly helpful and effective teacher, as he is always willing to work with students before, during, and after school. Oftentimes, it seems like Mr. Stormer is the first teacher to arrive in the mornings and the last to leave at night. I can't think of anyone who deserves this award more. I'd like to thank the Rotary Club for giving us hardworking teachers the ability to be recognized. And I'd like to thank Mr. Stormer for facilitating my interest in science and mathematics and for all the opportunities he has given me.
Mr. Stormer, would you like to say a few words?
By way of remarks, I'd like to recount an incident that happened in May 8 years ago. And Mr. Butler is going to help me try to keep a mic in my face as I demonstrate some things on the mock-up I have with my classroom here. Okay, so it was near the end of the school day, physics class, mostly seniors, many of whom were, of course, interested in learning, but hoping that period, that day, their high school career would end real soon. I was talking about lunar and solar eclipses, and the water began to boil. I had put a flask of 2 liters of water on a hot plate, planning to do something with it later, I forget what it was, but I noticed it was boiling, so I got my mitt to pick it up, went around the stage and as I lifted the flask off the hot plate, the bottom stayed on the hot plate, and 2 liters of boiling water went onto the table and the floor, and in my shoe, which is a mesh running shoe like this, and I realized suddenly my foot is really hot. So I tore off my shoe and my sock, went around to the sink in the corner of the sink, and my foot up in the sink, water running on my foot. Then I looked up and saw a lot of wide eyes. Then my students sprang into action. One said, "Should we call Miss Bear?" Chris Bear is our health teacher, athletic trainer, and go-to person for in-school injuries. And said, she would just tell me to keep it cool, and I'm doing that, so don't bother her. Another student said, "Well, wouldn't ice be better?" I said, "No, well, okay, yeah, go get some ice." So 2 boys went off to get some ice. Then a couple of students volunteered to do some cleanup, and were soon mopping up the water in the front of the bench there. At that point, I realized there's nothing else to do with my foot, so I grabbed the spheres representing the Earth and the Moon, and said, "Well, where were we?" At this point, a student whispered to another, "Oh my God, he's going to keep on teaching." I did. Lesson. I was talking for a while, and pretty soon the boys came back with 2 huge containers of ice, an ice machine. And so I pour off most of it, and pretty soon I duct taped the ice to my foot so I could then walk around to my visual aids more easily. And they did the lessons, finished the period. After a while, my students, bell rang, students left with wishes for me, for my foot to heal quickly and to play okay, and so on. And then I carefully put on my sock and hobbled down to the office to fill out the requisite injury report form. There's more to the story, but I'm going to stop there to say I've told you the story for 3 reasons. One is to illustrate my desire in keeping my students involved in learning. I appreciate the concern my students showed for me that day, and I've had the privilege for many years to deal with great staff and faculty and administration, as well as nice students like Emily, who've shown their care for me in many ways. And I thank Emily for nominating me for this award. And I thought this would be an entertaining story for you today. I'd like to thank the Rotary for the opportunity we have for this, and congratulations to all the current and past winners.
Yeah, it gives me great pleasure. This is actually an award. Congratulations from the Bellefontaine Rotary.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Davis. I guess this is, from all 23 years, that was probably the most, that was the most different.
Most mobile.
I wish you could see this as he's putting his clothes back on. That's good. Man, good choice. Our third winner is from the Ohio High Point Career Center, Monica Young. Let me read a couple things about Monica. Monica's been in education for 6 years. Is that correct? Good. With 1 year of substitute teaching and 5 years as a full-time English teacher at High Point Career Center. Currently, she is teaching regular and college-level juniors and has taught regular, college prep, and honors humanity courses as well, seniors and OHP previous years. That's pretty good. Her high school director, Shelley Sweeney, is here on behalf of Monica.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Rotary, for having us here. And what a wonderful thing it is that Logan County takes the time to recognize their teachers. And I say that as an administrator, and then as a fellow Rotarian, I truly appreciate being in an organization that goes all out to honor educators like we do here in Logan County. I have to say to Benjamin Logan, congratulations. You set a bar I know I will not reach. And Mr. Butler, I didn't know you had the juggling skills, so congratulations. I would like to talk about Monica Young and her student. Brittany, why don't you come on up here, please? I'd like to introduce to you Brittany McCurdy. Brittany is a Benjamin Logan student at Ohio High Point. She is a junior. She is in our Allied Health and Nursing program, and she is going to share a little bit about her reasoning to nominate Mrs. Young. And then I also want to share with you that Monica does an excellent job of getting the students real-world ideas into her English class. I shared with her earlier when she got this nomination. Brittany didn't necessarily come because Ohio High Point is wonderful at English or math, or she doesn't come for her social studies. Brittany comes because she wants to be in the allied health industry, and she has a desire to get her STNA and go on into the health field. So the fact that a student at Ohio High Point nominated an academic teacher has to say more than what I could ever say, because here we have an English teacher who has made her subject relevant and interesting to a student who came here to be in the health field. So I think kudos and an excellent job for doing that. And I enjoy going into Monica's class and walking down her hallway, and I tell her this every year. She works on the poetry and has her students, they get the construction paper back out, they get the crayons out, and they are very, very creative, and she plasters them on the wall, and she recognizes students for their work. So not only is she sharing her ideas about the content, but then she shares the students' work as well, and we in the building truly appreciate it. So at this time, I am going to let Ms. McCurdy talk a little bit, and then we'll introduce Ms. Young.
First of all, I'd like to thank Mrs. Young for all she does in the classroom and out.
She pushes each of our students to thrive and enforces real-world and college expectations in the classroom. She's talked with us through our darkest days and made us smile while learning the joys of English. My junior year of college prep English wouldn't have been the same or as great without you. Thank you, Mrs. Miller.
This time I'd like to introduce to you Mrs. Monica Young.
Thank you all for coming here today. I'd like to start off by thanking Bellefontaine Rotary Club. It's amazing how much work and effort you put into acknowledging the educators in Logan County. We really appreciate that. It is a huge honor to be recognized for this, and I'm very proud to be joining in the company of the previous year's winners, many of whom I know and work with and have always really respected as educators. This is particularly precious to me since it comes from a student, and that's really where I dedicate all of every day to, so just to see it coming from a student means a lot. I want to take a moment to thank all of the talented and passionate people who help make this possible. Ohio High Point has incredible staff. They work really hard to provide good quality academic and career tech education to our students, and we've got a great community of educators with backgrounds in many different subjects. We're all working together to ensure our students' success. I want to thank Caleb Lang, my academic director. He works very hard to ensure that our department has all the support and the resources that we need to be able to make the biggest impact possible on our kids. And my husband, Alex Young, he's my support, my sounding board, sometimes my proofreader, always my sanity. He is very gracious to put up with the mountains of grading that sometimes invade our home. Brittany McCurdy, of course, you heard from her. She's a junior in the Allied Health and Nursing Lab, and she's one of those talented and passionate people that I surround myself with. My students are the other portion of my day, and they are a huge group of that talented and passionate people that are a part of OHP. I learn from them every day, and I really, really love to watch them learn and grow throughout the course of the year. I know that to most people, juniors don't seem like babies, but when they first come into our building, they grow so much by graduation. My job is to give them opportunities to read beautiful things and to write in meaningful ways. And there are some days where it has its challenges, especially this time of year where kids are debating, the exact shade of pink for a prayer dress, and that seems to take a little bit more precedence over a line of poetry. But it all comes together when one of them realizes the power of a story and how they can use a story to shape the world, to shape their place in it, and to change the future. So thank you all very much for coming out here to support Logan County's educators.
Monica, we're proud to present you with this Excellence in Teaching Award from the Bellefontaine Rotary Club.